Alright, here is how you make your Applecrisp recipe. Remember, during this lab you're practicing some more knife skills, including peeling and paring, coring an apple properly, and then slicing and dicing using the claw and the gliding with the chef's knife method. Alright, so I already did a couple apples. You need 4 total, so everybody in your group should get some good practice on this one. I am letting go of my hatred of the peeler. I just don't like it. I prefer paring, but I know that for some of you guys, peeling is a lot easier with the peeler. The problem sometimes though is if your peeler is dull, so I'm going to try to make sure that the ones that are out in the lab are the sharpest ones we have. Just be careful that if you're peeling with the peeler, you don't hit the apple, but you like slide more than tap on it. A lot of people are used to doing that with potatoes, okay? I don't know, you're not even like this. When you peel, it's kind of the same tactic as paring, only it's just a little bit easier for some of you to control. Okay, I prefer this method. And again, if you haven't tried it, maybe you want to give it a try. You could go the whole way around the apple pretty quickly once you have that skill down, and doing less damage to the apple than if you were hitting it with the peeler every time. But again, I'll let go of my anger towards peeling and let you use either one, okay? But you do need to peel the skin on this recipe. You can't leave it on. It won't cook properly and it'll be kind of a chewy, not so great texture. Although these peels are pretty good as far as being healthy for you. So go ahead and eat some of those as you're working. Okay, don't overthink the peel left on the core area. You're gonna cut around that, okay? So I don't wanna see anybody spending 5 minutes picking at that part where the core is. You should be able to get this apple cored, peeled, cored, diced in under a minute, okay? It should not take you that long. So what you wanna do is think about cutting around the core instead of through it. So a lot of people make the mistake of cutting an apple in half right down the middle when they know that they're gonna need to take the core out, and then you're gonna spend time picking the core out of each piece individually. That's just stupid. Stop it, okay? You wanna cut around the core. So visualize going down. There's your flat surface for that piece. Turn the apple, cut down through, flat surface for that piece. Turn the apple again, another piece, last piece. There's your core. There's no picking out the seeds. Everything is nicely clean and cored, okay? Then you lay those together. If you can do 2 at a time, great. Last time we were cutting apples and onions, some of you were cutting with the front part of the knife. The top of the knife is not for the cutting part. That part is for the movement of the knife. The cutting part happens in the back. This part of the knife is called the tang. It's the back end of the knife where the most pressure can be applied, because that's where it's closest to your hand and has the most surface area for cutting. So that's where the cutting happens. So if you were working on this motion the last time, this will come in handy. When you slice your apples, remember you're going for the same size. So each movement in should be creating about the same width of apple, not like a big one and a skinny one, okay? So when you slide in, I'm almost coming in contact with my finger every time, and that's kind of helping me make the size that I want, giving me sort of a guide. Okay, then you have your apples in a pile. You can do them all at once or a couple at once, whatever you're comfortable with. And again, same movement, dicing with the claw, okay? Pieces are uniform in size. They go in the bowl. Okay, do that again. Slice, 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 slice. Make your pile. Use your knife to kind of help you regroup a little bit, and dice. Okay, should be getting better at that. That should be happening much easier for you, okay, as we continue to do recipes where you practice these knife skills. I don't want to see people cutting individual pieces like this. That's not what we're practicing. We're trying to get this skill down, using the blade of the knife in the back to do this rocking motion to make uniform pieces all the way across. Okay, you can do this. Once again, peel or pare, whatever you need to do to get that skin off. No. No thanks. I'll use my paring knife that's nice and sharp. Sometimes you can get the whole way around and keep the peel intact. You do that, you get a bonus point. Extra ice cream maybe on top, which, by the way, a la mode in this recipe, or if you see that on a menu anywhere, that means a la mode means ice cream on the top. Okay, so in this case, if your recipe is done properly, it looks good, it's successful, your knife skills are good, you earn that ice cream for the top if you want it. Okay, don't be stupid and cut through the middle, cut around the core. Okay, and again, here's another spot where you don't want to cut with the top of the blade. You want to cut with the back end of the blade. That's where you got the force. Okay, cutting around the core. Throw that core away. Flat side down. Line them up. Actually, this makes more sense. Do it that way. Use your finger to guide you. Slices, slices, slices. Keep your sticks together. Line them up again. Dices. Done. Okay. All in under a minute. Slices. Pile. Even. Dices. Use your scraper. Slices. Pile them up. Dices. Okay. Alright, now you have 4 apples diced in a bowl. Perfect. Except for this guy, so I gotta eat it. Okay. You need to put some lemon juice inside here to prevent oxidation, or just slow oxidation is a better way to say it. You're not gonna be able to prevent it entirely. Oxidation is just when the oxygen hits the cut surface of the fruits or vegetables and just begins to change the coloring. It doesn't make them inedible. It just makes them a little less appealing visually, and this acid in the lemon juice helps to prevent that or slow it down. Also, in your bowl of apples, you're going to need a little bit of flour and white sugar. So in your recipe, you'll notice that it says 2 tablespoons of flour and 4 tablespoons of flour in the ingredients list. Remember, the ingredients are just for inventory. They're not for order in which things are added. They're just to let you know what you need to make sure you have. So in this case, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of flour in this mixture and the 4 tablespoons of flour later. And this is going to just kind of create the gelatin-like goo, like if you think of an apple pie, the substance around the apples in the apple pie, that's created by a little bit of sugar and a little bit of flour and the juice from the apples. Okay, so we need 2 tablespoons in here. And then we need a little bit of sugar to give these apples some sweetening. 1/4 a cup of sugar. Scoop and level. Remember, that's all you need to do when it comes to measuring sugar. That's it. I don't want to see any oats in this bowl. I don't want to see any brown sugar in this bowl. Read the directions. I'm going to be all over that. If I catch you guys not reading the directions and you put these ingredients when it literally says add nothing else to the bowl, that's some serious point, okay? It also says to toss these, okay? So if you wanted to, this would be a real toss if you're like being a foodie, okay? But you can also just get in there. You're just trying to coat everything with your spoon, so it's kind of just like a quick stir without mashing or damaging those apples, okay? Once you see the flour kind of dissipate into the mixture, this is done. This now goes into your clear glass baking dish. Okay, so for this recipe, we're going to be doing this in the microwave just for time's sake. You can make Applecrisp, and I would prefer it, I guess, if I was making it at home, to be baked in the oven. The texture is just a little bit different, but it's pretty good in the microwave for what we're trying to achieve here. Okay, so this is a where your apples go in your clear glass baking dish. Set those aside. Use the exact same bowl without washing it. This has some good apple flavoring and juices in it. You want to keep that in there for making the crumb topping. So don't waste your time washing this bowl. That's silly. Just use the exact same bowl. Okay, so in this mixture, in this bowl, you're going to do the cutting in process. You're going to get your butter and your flour and some brown sugar and some oats, and you're gonna use your pastry blender, which will be a new technique, to cut it. For this recipe, the butter has to be cold or chilled. It's not gonna be at room temperature, so you won't find this out at the station so much. You're gonna need to go into the fridge to get your 6 tablespoons of butter. So that's a half a stick and 2 tablespoons, which I'll just have cut this time into tablespoon form so you can count out 6. Then you need 3/4 cups of oats. We generally don't have a 3/4 measuring cup, so you're going to be smart and use a half and a 1/4. Okay, that equals 3/4, guys. And then you're gonna add a half a cup of brown sugar. Remember, that needs to be packed into a sandcastle in order to be measured properly. So get in there, scoop that around. This one you can squeeze and squish on the edge of the container, and then use your hand to kind of finish it off. Okay, and level as you pack. Okay, that should be good. Goes in the bowl. Let me rinse my hand off quick. And, oh, cinnamon. This is a spot where a lot of people accidentally add their tablespoon of cinnamon instead of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Wouldn't be the end of the world, would just be extra cinnamony. And remember, with this container, you don't take the lid completely off. You turn it and use the scooper. But I'm gonna have this in a bowl for the easier measuring technique for you guys. So you'll see it in something like this for you to level or to measure out of, and then level right back into the bowl. Teaspoon, scoop it up, level it off. All of that goes together in there so you can cut it. This is how this works. You take this device. These are blades essentially, but they're not sharp, okay? But they're sharp enough to grab these ingredients and create this like crumbly texture, okay? It's gonna get kind of clumped up in the beginning. You just tap it out, okay? Remember, stirring, anytime you're stirring in any way, shape, or form, the bowl needs to be turned, okay? You don't leave it in a stagnant position. You need to move that bowl as you stir, okay? You're trying to create a crumbly mixture with little butter, like pea-sized butter balls, essentially, covered with all of this stuff. So, once you feel like this texture has reached a crumbly state, okay, use your senses. You can look at this. You can tell if this looks like something that's crumbly, or sometimes I like to describe it as sprinkleable. Can I pick this up and sprinkle it? Okay, so we're pretty close. You don't want to mash this completely. Every time you do this, you're adding friction. Friction makes heat. Heat melts the butter. That's the opposite of what we're trying to do. We want to keep these balls of butter in our mixture, okay? Because then they melt into our topping and make it nice and crumbly and flaky rather than like a cake on top of our apples, okay? Crumb topping. Okay, so that's about where you want to stop. Tap that out. Shake that up. Oh, I got some cinnamon down there. I got to get that in there. Check it out. Spread that around a little more. Okay. Oops. Oh, man. Now, this goes right on top of our apples. You don't want to squish it or mush it too much, okay? So if big clumps fall out, you can break them up. But otherwise, just kind of shake that out onto there. Still want to keep that butter in sort of that clumpy ball shape, okay? There, done, stop, okay? That's it. This is gonna go into the microwave for 4 minutes on high. If I was making this home, you do it about 350, 15 or 20 minutes, or until it starts to get bubbly and a little bit brown on the top. But before you stick that in the microwave, you need to cover it to conceal some of the moisture so the apples cook all the way through. So I just put this plate right on top. Don't try to do this upside down. That's a struggle. Put it right side up. 4 minutes in the microwave. I'll be back here in a second to show you what it's supposed to look like, and maybe serve some up to some people in the hallway. See what they think.